Hey everyone. So the Microsoft Build event just ended and they made some very interesting announcements. The overall messaging seemed to be that this would be a ground up reimagining of computing. There was definitely some shots fired at Apple. The biggest of which being the new Surface laptop, which they are claiming is over 50% more powerful than the Mac M3. There is a bit of an asterisk there. We'll get to that in just a second. Plus, they announced a whole host of interesting Copilot features. There is one of which I think will split the audience because it's either super powerful or a little bit on the creepy side. Okay, let's dive in. So in just the last week, we've seen OpenAI table flip the Google I/O event, and then OpenAI table flipped itself with the meltdown of the AI safety team and the whole Scarlett Johansson situation. And now Microsoft is looking to flip the table on both of them with the Microsoft Build event. The big news coming out of Build is that Copilot will now be directly integrated into Windows. Obviously, this will be powered by ChatGPT and allows you to, use ChatGPT without going to the OpenAI website. Now, in what way does that differ from OpenAI's new Mac desktop app? I mean, honestly, it really doesn't, other than the fact that you will now have a Copilot key on your Windows keyboard. I mean, it is 100% the same thing. They're both using the new ChatGPT 4.0 model, and they both will not be voiced by Scarlett Johansson. Now, one interesting differential between the Mac desktop app and Copilot is the fact that Copilot is integrated into Windows. So you'll be able to do things like access your system settings. And in the example here, you'll be able to do things like fix common audio problems or turn on Energy Saver. I mean, it is essentially the Windows troubleshooting wizard with an AI spin on it. And look, I know that I have a MacBook Pro sitting here, but I am no stranger to troubleshooting Windows issues. I grew up on the mean streets of DirectX and plug and pray. So believe me, having an AI assistant that actually has knowledge of your entire system, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Speaking of which, on the hardware side, Microsoft rolled out its new line of Surface laptops. They touted these as the most powerful PCs in the world. I mean, they all say that. And they'll be powered by a CPU, a GPU, and an NPU, or neural processing unit, running at 40 trillion operations per second. They spend a lot of time flaunting on how thin the new Surface line is. I really don't know what the obsession with thinness is these days. I'll get off this thin rant in just a second, but to me, thin just means it's going to break that much easier. We don't have benchmarks yet, but Microsoft is claiming that this will be 58% faster than the MacBook Air M3. Now, an important note is that that is the Air, not the MacBook Pro. So I am curious if that percentage is a little less impressive when you stack it against an M3 Max. That said, there is also the issue of cost, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. All of this will be powered by the new Qualcomm Snapdragon X processor, which runs more efficiently, thus leading to longer battery life, and again, is apparently 58% faster than the MacBook Air M3 in sustained multi-threaded performance. And I will say that the power consumption side is probably a good thing, considering that one of the things that Microsoft showcased was essentially what we saw previously in the OpenAI event with the Vision model.
Copilot, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great, and it looks like you're about to dive into some Minecraft. Ready to build, explore, and maybe dodge a few mobs?
And while I get that this is just a use case demo and, obviously Microsoft owns Minecraft, to me, it's not really all that appealing in playing a game with, cheat mode turned on. But I am excited about the overall application of this idea. In one of the AI community live streams, I had mentioned that I think it might be interesting to have this running while, say, I'm editing this video and having Copilot or ChatGPT 4.0 essentially acting as an assistant editor or a second pair of eyes for me. I mean, essentially, we will all have our own very individualized uses for this, and that is actually pretty exciting. Recall, which is a new feature that they introduced, to me is the most interesting and probably what is going to end up being the most controversial. It's basically a series of small AI models that is constantly watching and recording everything that you do on your computer. It is a little bit like Apple's Time Machine with an AI twist. So the example given is, say it's a few weeks ago and you are searching for a blue dress or a blue business suit. Longtime viewers, that's a shout out to you. You forget to bookmark that page, so using Recall, you search up blue pantsuit with sequin face, and indeed, you will then find it. Now, you're probably seeing that and saying, I don't think I like that. Microsoft does say that privacy is a top priority for them, and that none of this indexing and data will actually be stored on a cloud server, but rather it will be on device. And it is important to note that you can blacklist apps or websites from recall capturing them. I think we all know which website is going to top that list. Now, while Microsoft does say that none of this data will be used for training purposes, I mean, the whole thing does certainly give off kind of a Black Mirror, Big Brother sort of vibe. Let me know in the comments if you are either excited about recall or if you are turning that off day one. They also showcased Co-Creator. This is Microsoft Paint with a slab of Stable Diffusion thrown on it. And look, while I'm not necessarily blown away by this, and anybody that goes through comfy UI workflows is going to be like, this is not for us. This is for like Linda in accounting when she has to make the company picnic flyer. Now, hopefully Co-Creator also tells Linda to stop using Comic Sans. They also showcased some image generation stuff and some like one-click photo editing. I mean, nothing to write home about there. But on the professional side, they did highlight some MPU optimizations for both the Adobe Suite and for DaVinci Resolve. Now, in terms of cost, it's going to start at $999. That's for the 13.8-inch model. And to note, that's just the base model. So that will include 16 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig hard drive. I'm sure that cost will go up as you boost those specs up. Although obviously even with upgrades, it will probably still come in under the cost of a comparable Mac. The new machines are set to launch on June 18th, which is about a week after Apple's WWDC event, in which we will find out if Tim Cook is planning a table flip of his own. Speaking of Tims, my name is Tim, and I thank you for watching.